story making headlines, a stunning reversal. 2.5 years after Michael Flynn pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI about contacts he had with the Russian ambassador, today the Department of Justice asked a federal judge to drop the case against President Trump's former national security advisor. In the court filing, U.S. Attorney, Timothy Shea wrote, "The government cannot explain, much less prove to a jury beyond a reasonable doubt, how false statements are material to an investigation that seems to have been undertaken only to elicit those very false statements and thereby criminalize Mr. Flynn." President Trump reacted to the news this afternoon.
I didn't know that was happening at this moment. I felt it was going to happen just by watching and seeing like everybody else does. He was an innocent man. He is a great gentleman. He was targeted by the Obama administration, and he was targeted in order to try and take down a president. And what they've done is a disgrace, and I hope a big price is going to be paid.
To help us examine the Justice Department decision, I'm joined now by Neil Katyal. He served as acting Solicitor General in the Obama administration. And Brett Tolman, he is a former federal prosecutor. He also worked as chief counsel for Republicans on the Senate Judiciary Committee. Gentlemen, thank you both for being here. Brett Tolman, to you first. How could a case after 2.5 years, when General Flynn pled guilty, suddenly disintegrate?
Well, you know, the disintegration comes as a result of, I think, an honest assessment of the facts. And what I mean by that is you have to understand what the facts are at the time when the decisions were made. Here, there's no question. It's not just about misconduct of the FBI. There's that. It's concerning. There are statements, there are notes. We've all seen them. We're concerned when an FBI agent asks the question, what's our goal? Is it to get somebody to do something criminal, as opposed to what if they do lie in our investigation? What will happen? Instead, he said, are we going to get them to lie? The problem, however, I think, and you asked the key question, is, you know, how does a prosecution disintegrate? It disintegrates because you exercise proper prosecutorial discretion.
Well, Neil Katyal, we know what Brett Tolman's referring to is information that FBI agents it may have been asking questions, planning this investigation in a way that was improper. But at its core, why is it that this case should stand up? You read the filing by the Justice Department, and they're saying that this is something they can't stand by anymore.
Yeah, I don't think the Justice Department's filing today stands up. I think it's a devastating decision, Judy, that guts the rule of law. This is a president who's been trying to interfere with this prosecution since the start. He told Jim Comey, let him go and stuff like that. That was the whole reason to have a special counsel investigation, to assure that there'd be an independent investigation. And nothing, I think, is more corrosive than the idea that the Justice Department is now weaponized to help Trump's friends and hurt his enemies. And here, the evidence is really overwhelming. First of all, Flynn himself admitted twice in open court that he did it in 2 separate years, 2017 and 2018. And this isn't like some Obama prosecution. This is the FBI and Justice Department. And that prosecution was signed off by multiple checks. First, you had line attorneys, career prosecutors doing so. Then you had Trump's own guy, the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, signing off on it. And then you had a federal judge, Judge Sullivan, a very respected judge, also signing off on this. By contrast, today's decision, not a single line prosecutor signs that document. Indeed, the line prosecutor, the prosecutor, Brandon Van Grack, actually withdraws. Something is rotten in Denmark here. This is really, really devastating and corrosive to the rule of law.
And what about that, Mr. Tolman? Because what we have is a process that involved a number of people over a period of months has now been done away with by one prosecutor acting under presumably the direction of the Attorney General, and we have accusation that the Justice Department has now been completely politicized.
Well, I'm glad that Neil brought up the politicization of the Justice Department. There's no question Jim Comey was at the heart of that political response. If you look at what he did, he sent in investigators with an agenda after the Department of Justice had already made a determination that there was not a Logan Act violation at issue and there was not a FAR Act issue to be investigated. So they sent them in with the strict purpose of being able to find something that they could bring. Now, I'm going to tell you, in Neil's world then, no innocent person ever pleads guilty, and no misconduct ever occurs, and no prosecutor makes a mistake. Here, a big mistake was made, and you can argue as much as you want that Mr. Flynn appeared in court. There are other reasons why somebody would plead guilty, and I've seen it, having been in the criminal justice system for 20 years. This was the right decision, not a political decision, and the individuals who reviewed this were reviewing the evidence at issue, absent any political mandate.
Of course, I believe.
And what
Brett,
you want to
that-
respond to that, Neil Katyal?
Yeah, of course, I believe that, there are sometimes people who plead guilty when they shouldn't. But when you have someone like this with massive financial resources, who's served his country as a general and who's been accused of lying to the FBI, and he agrees to plead twice, come on, of course not. You fight for your honor in that circumstance. You don't plead guilty when you're someone like that with all the resources and the like. And look, if they were so sure they couldn't make this case, which sounds thoroughly bizarre since Flynn's own statements would be admissible in court, including his plea, let them prove it out in court and see what happens. But the idea that you truncate that at the get-go, and for this one prisoner, there are 172,000 federal prisoners serving their sentences right now, but you have this one person who magically the Justice Department manages to single out, who happens to be Trump's pal and ally. There's something seriously, deeply, deeply wrong that has happened here.
And Brett Tolman,
Well, I
just
will
quickly
say
going back.
briefly. Yeah. Sorry, just briefly.
Go ahead.
I mean, this same analysis was entirely absent when this same Justice Department determined not to go forward on the prosecution of Andrew McCabe, admittedly having found to have lied by the Office of Inspector General. It should give us great comfort that a decision is made in the McCabe case to not bring a case, and a decision is made now to reverse a wrong that was going forward. It's political to say anything otherwise.
We've only got a few seconds left. I want to ask both of you what you expect Judge Emmett Sullivan to do. Neil Katyal?
I think the judge should do what last year when a different Justice Department set of attorneys had to withdraw because of lies the Trump administration had made, inquire into it. And so I expect Judge Sullivan will inquire into why is this attorney withdrawing? And he, under Rule 48, has to approve the dismissal of this prosecution. And I think he's already suggested that, or already held that this evidence is material and the like. And so I think there should be a searching inquiry as to what happened here today.
And Brett Tolman, the judge, this is the final decision is in the hands of the judge, correct?
Yes, it is. This same judge should dismiss this case for simply the Brady violations that have occurred in the case. He should know. He's the one who warns the government to make sure they turn everything over, having ruled on the prosecution of the Ted Stevens case. So I think the decision is easy for him at this point.
Brett Tolman, Neil Katyal, we thank you both.
Thank you.